I'd seen a few outlets reporting on this. And then I go on to this one here, which is dailysports.net. Eddie Hearn reveals when Dillian Whyte plans to have his next fight. Promoter Eddie Hearn has revealed British heavyweight Dillian Whyte plans to have his next fight. According to the promoter, the Brit aims to return to the ring September of this year. Eddie Hearn told Seconds Out, "We haven't discussed Dillian Whyte's future extensively. He says he wants to get back to fighting big bouts and is eyeing September for his return. Dillian is still a significant name in the world of boxing," Eddie Hearn told Seconds Out. It's worth recalling that the star British fighter tested positive for doping before his bout with Anthony Joshua last August. Consequently, the bout was cancelled and Whyte was suspended. Was he? Was he suspended? I mean, I remember him, going quiet, but was there actually a suspension? Was there actually, the British Boxing Board of Control, UKAD, coming out and saying, yes, you are suspended for a prolonged period of time? Because he wasn't out of the ring. Well, I guess you could say he was out of the ring that long, in fairness, because he was out of the ring from November 2022 till... Yeah, because he didn't fight last year, didn't he? He was meant to fight in August, didn't fight until March this year, Paddy's weekend, in Castlebar, County Mayo. He hasn't fought since then. And that wasn't with the British Boxing Board of Control. That would have been with the BUI, the Boxing Union of Ireland. So, yeah, Dillian Whyte hasn't fought in the UK since 2022. So again, that article there is saying he was suspended. The British Boxing Board of Control and UKAD, if it is doping offences, they tend to be a lot longer than that. And especially considering the fact that if you could say, well, it was backdated, yeah, but you didn't fail anything for the Jermaine Franklin fight, which was in 2022. So I don't know if he's right there. In terms of Dillian Whyte getting back in the ring, Dillian Whyte has not been, or certainly wasn't, complimentary of Eddie Hearn in the immediate aftermath of all that with the, fail. It was an adverse analytical fight. Let's use that word. That's what they called it with VADA. And they kind of were thinking, is he going to go with... Because obviously with Eddie Hearn, he fights on a fight-by-fight basis. And you kind of were thinking, okay, what way is he going to go? Is he going to stay with Hearn? Is he going to look elsewhere? What is Dillian Whyte going to do? Because if you think about it, some of the fighters that he has managed, the likes of Fabio Wadley is not ruled out. And I think he's always... And no, to be fair, he's always been very complimentary of Eddie Hearn. But he's just trying to get the best deal. So he fought on the Queensbury show when he fought David Adelaide over in Saudi Arabia. I was on the Fury and Gandhi undercard. He then goes on to fight Fraser Clark on a boxer show, and I believe that fight's going to happen again, but just a case of when. We've no official announcement of when that's going to be happening, and if it does happen again, it's going to be on boxer show. But he could well find himself back with Matchroom. Riakporhe was a Dillian Whyte guy. He left and went to boxer. Alan Babbage, did he even I don't even know who Alan Babbage was. He even a boxer fighter? I don't even know. But you get what I mean. A lot of the fighters that Dillian Whyte would have managed, they kind of, a bit like Dillian Whyte, they just kind of tend to float from promoter to promoter. So Eddie Hearn is talking about Dillian Whyte back in September, and the two things come to my mind. Well, I mean, suppose you could say it's two, but you could kind of incorporate it into one. What card do we have in the UK in September, if it is going to be in the UK? What card do we have? Well, we obviously have Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. The undercard, which has been announced, is that the final, is that going to be the definite, that's the final undercard? I would imagine they will look to add fights to it, whether they're prelim shows, which normally would be, a prospect or someone like that, fairly run-of-the-mill knockover job. Or would they look to put someone like a Dillian Whyte in there? Now, Dillian Whyte is talking about, Eddie Hearn is just, saying that there is still big fights there, this, that and the third. And, you hear the likes of Michael Hunter coming out and saying, he's up for fighting Dillian Whyte, this, that and the other. I would imagine Eddie Hearn, again, could be completely wrong with this, could potentially be looking and thinking, right, Alan Babbage fought Johnny Fisher this weekend. Dillian Whyte hasn't, I was going to say he hasn't really had a competitive fight in nearly 2 years, because the Christian Hammer fight he had in Castlebar, I mean, that really... Again, Dillian Whyte didn't look good in it, but in all fairness, he only, I think, had a couple of weeks, like maybe 3 weeks or so thereabouts to get ready for that fight and get in. And Christian Hammer, he wasn't, he was literally there, right, few rounds, where's my money, see you later, bye-bye. And Dillian Whyte was a bit, peeved off, and I can't really blame him for that, because I don't think there was anything necessarily wrong with Christian. He hadn't taken it being, nothing wrong, but he just wanted to hi, bye. That was kind of how he wanted it. So really nothing to go on Dillian Whyte. Against Jermaine Franklin, he laboured to a decision. He got through. Franklin isn't as bad as I thought he was. And that's his last real fight in 2 years. So would Eddie Hearn be looking at someone like a Johnny Fisher? They are mentioning Dave Allen for Johnny Fisher, and maybe that's a better trajectory, because Dillian Whyte is a name, a big name, very, very big name. And if Johnny Fisher could take that scalp, it would be, incredible to promote him and market him, being like, well, apart from Anthony Joshua, Povetkin and Tyson Fury, Johnny Fisher's the only other guy to beat Dillian Whyte. That's not to say I would pick him. I think that Johnny Fisher will be even though Dillian Whyte, look, if Johnny Fisher was able to land on Dillian Whyte, was able to hit him with big right hands like he hit Babbage, yeah, he'd hurt him and probably take him out. But Dillian Whyte, I think Dillian Whyte has forgotten more about boxing than Johnny Fisher has learned. So again, I'm only just chucking the name Johnny Fisher out there. Probably not. And Dillian Whyte might see that as a bit too much of a step down. I'm fighting a guy who's not even fought for an English title. The hell with that. He's looking for big fights, big names. But who do you get? This is Zhang. The only thing I could think of, right, would be if, and Dillian Whyte would probably, even though I'd say Dillian Whyte would probably see this as a much more risky fight than Johnny Fisher, would probably still see it as a more lucrative fight. If he was to fight in September, and let's say he was to fight, I'm only speculating here, and say he was to fight the Joshua undercard, would you do a rematch with Joseph Parker? Because Joseph Parker he hasn't fought since the Zhilei Zhang fight, which was in March. That'll be about 6 months for both of them. The first fight was very, very good. It was a brilliant fight, the first fight. 6 years nearly. 6 years, the middle of July? God, it's quick. You don't miss it. You really don't miss that 6 years going by. That was quick. That was a great show. Just going off topic, but that whole show from top to bottom was brilliant. That was an amazing show. The Dillian Whyte versus Joseph Parker show. The whole card was amazing. I mean, that's a pay-per-view. That was like a kind of, and it wasn't even a Saudi level type pay-per-view, but that was kind of like, that was a brilliant show. Really, really good. One of Eddie Hearn's best. If they could do that again, I'd make Joseph Parker firm favourite. I think he'd have a good chance of stopping Dillian Whyte, but maybe Dillian Whyte would look and think, well, I've beaten you once, I can beat you again. Plus, it has the incentive of an interim WBO title on the line, which could actually put Dillian Whyte in contention, if he wins, to not only maybe challenge for Alexander Usyk, but actually be elevated to full champion if Alexander Usyk, for whatever reason, decides not to go through with the Tyson Fury fight, vacate, retire, etc. Could actually make it. Dillian Whyte, if he was to fight Joseph Parker and beat him, could actually end up saying, a bit like Daniel Dubois, I became heavyweight champion. But again, that's just me just thinking out loud with that one, just kind of trying to think, like, what could he do or what could happen. But I'm hearing a lot of reports. I mean, IFL are even talking about it. Dillian Whyte likely to return in September. Could it be on a Joshua card? Could Eddie Hearn look to do his own show? Dillian Whyte, when he fought Lucas Brown, I think that was not long. I think it might have only been a week or so before Joshua fought Parker. Could be a good way, have that on the September 14th weekend, have Dillian Whyte fight whoever that weekend, and just constantly Joshua Dubois on the zone, all that stuff. So that might be an idea. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. As always, smash the like button if you could, and subscribe as always if you haven't already. Peace.